there, Erin here from Nielsen Letters Calligraphy, based in Montreal. How are you? I'm doing well. I am here to do some teaching tonight. I hope you're ready. Hope you have your pens. Hope you have your pencils. Ready to go tonight. So, yeah, we finished minuscules, guys. That's incredible. I'm so proud of us for getting all that done. We learned all the basic strokes, and we learned the all A through Z, or A through Z if you're not from Canada. So that is good. Let's see, what else did we do? We're gonna do warm ups today. I know I skipped it last time, but we're gonna do warm ups today because I was not doing calligraphy most of the day today. I did some engraving, but not calligraphy proper on paper. So definitely be doing some warm ups today. And we're gonna do just a little bit of a touch on how to connect the minuscule letters because it's kind of implied, but I didn't go through it directly and immediately. So I'm definitely gonna do that. Let's see. And then I'm gonna start learning the majuscule strokes. And hopefully, depending on how much time that takes, hopefully not too long, it's going to be A through H. I'm going to show you guys how to do. So let's get onto the overhead camera right away. So we'll be doing some warm up exercises. Getting water on my desk, always fun. So I always keep a paper towel around, just like a roll, always on hand. Actually, we'll open up my old. I'm trying to think what jar this was. I feel like the jar was probably jam, to be totally honest, like a mini jam jar or something. So I'm going to be using some fun. It's pink. It shows red on the camera. It is technically pink, but the contrast is nice on the camera, so I'll use that. I need the mic down here, but I always smack the little wire with my hand, which is kind of annoying. But you do what you can. You do what you can. Let's keep that out of the way. So I'm gonna start with some warm ups, and just to get the feeling in my hand. Oh, by the way, using a different pen holder today. If any, look at this beautiful hand engraved, not by me. I don't engrave this way. This is incredible work. Hand engraved flange. Just wanted to show that off a little bit. Incredible. And um, listen, not a big fan of J.K. Rowling, but I still have the little millennial heart in me. Is still very happy with Harry Potter. I can't say no to it. So this is like a little elder wand type of pen holder. Very cool, handmade, hand created from my friend Huang. Incredible. I met him at IAMBIF last year, and just what a lovely man, beautiful. And yeah, he got me with this pen holder. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to get it, but then I kept thinking about it after I got home. Then I had to order it from him because I wanted it so bad. All right, so I'm gonna do some slow figure eights. Just to get the motion in my hand a little bit, just to get the pressure and release pattern. Let me zoom in on that just a little bit so you don't see so much of my desk. My desk is kind of boring. just hope everyone had a great weekend. My weekend was pretty busy. I ended up having lunch at a friend's yesterday, which was delightful. It's people I haven't seen in a little while. With COVID and stuff, it's weird. I know technically COVID is like done and all that kind of stuff, but I know for me at least, it broke me of the habit of seeing people on a regular basis. So, and I'm still trying to get back into it. So I was very happy to be able to see some friends I haven't seen in, geez, I don't even know how long. So we were able to hang out. We had some lunch, hung out with their kiddos, and they're delightful. They're from France, so they are huge fan of lots of cheese and home cooked meals and bread and all of the wonderful stereotypes of folks in France. If anyone asks as well, I'm really not doing any finger motion right now. I'm very much a little bit in my wrist, mostly in my elbow. That's where the motion is coming from. Perfect. I'm also going to, I think, I'm going to change direction. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to start going smaller as well. Always trying to keep the weight of the thicker line kind of in the same spot. Again, we're just doing warm ups right now. We're not too worried about it being incredibly neat and tidy. I'm just kind of having fun with the shapes, getting used to that motion of the back and forth. Also, by the way, today I'm using a Hunt 101 nib. If Normally I use the EF principle, but I think I may have run out, which is surprising. I couldn't find my extras, so I'm totally off camera. Sorry about that. Water away. I always find it fascinating the splitting of the time. Very cool. It's a very cool effect. I feel like I should make like just videos just doing this. I wonder how many people would watch if you just saw me doing this. Probably not that many, to be totally honest. It's not that interesting. It's just I find it kind of cool. Very fun. All right, let me do a couple more. Nothing too long. Just a little bit of just warming up. It's in my hand a little bit more now than it was. But let me just do some clockwise ovals. Do some counterclockwise. I'm actively trying to keep filigree line, that little dotted line that I have on my guide sheets. Let's try and go more narrow. It's kind of like a spring. So if you also don't have a pen like this, that's not a problem. You can always do this with a pencil. I love doing work like this with a pencil. You can do it with a marker. I know, like people like using like brush marker, like brush pen kind of stuff. Um, but to be totally honest, like you can also just use if you have like a Crayola marker somewhere, you can totally use that as well. It'll be really chunky. It won't be as like the difference won't be as much, but you can totally use just like a straight up Crayola marker. I've done it before. It's fun. Very low pressure. The sitch. All right. I think I'm just about done. I'm feeling good. I feel like I have good control. So I'll start. I'll move my paper up. So yes, I wanted to talk a little bit about the connecting of the minuscule letters. To do that, I'll do the word cat. It's usually my go-to when I'm showing someone calligraphy for the first time. So we have our letter C. A good spot. We can all see. Okay. C here. We have our A. Okay. And then we have the T. And then I have to cross it, of course. There we go. CAT, cat. As you can see here, we have an exit stroke, an entry stroke, exit stroke, entry stroke, exit stroke. So basically, when you're writing a word, no matter what that word is, you're always keeping in mind that the exit stroke here is basically the entry stroke for the next letter. So you kind of have, like, I can do it quickly because I've done this for a while, so it's easy for me to remember what comes next. But if you're just learning, you have to have a bit more of like active thinking of like what is the next letter that I'm going to be doing, so you make sure that your exit stroke turns into the correct entry stroke. So you have your C, then this is the exit stroke, but it turns into the entry stroke for the next letter. Then you go up, and then you're gonna A, right? Then you're gonna do that underturn up, and then this exit stroke here turns into the entry stroke for the T. So you're always having to think of exit stroke into entry stroke. This gets hard when the words are longer. When the entry stroke, I'm trying. So I was looking like I'm just like trying to think of where like going into an X can sometimes be a bit tricky. Um, just because the X is a bit of an exceptional letter, because you're gonna go up like normal, but then you're gonna swap the angle. You're not gonna pull it down so much, and you're gonna do it like this, because this is how I showed you guys how to do the X last time. Is that you're doing a compound curve, but you're pushing it to not be so tight, so you can then cross here and here, and then all of your everything touching the baseline is still going to be equally spaced, which is why this gets pulled out more. Because if you don't do that, like V cramped to me. Not a huge fan. Like it's a lot. It's a lot going on here. This feels like you can breathe a bit more. You can read the word. Um, but like this is something hard to you have to think about, right? You're not just going into the A and then like a regular pulling close to if you're gonna do a different letter. You have to think like, oh right, the X we're pushing it away, and then we're going back up into like normal spacing. Let's see another word, maybe a little bit longer. Um, let's write Montreal. Montreal is a word that I like because it's the city I live in. So we're gonna do the M. Wait, okay, we're good. So M. So overturn, overturn, overturn. Then we're gonna do the O. So the exit stroke here is the entry stroke for the O. So we're gonna go right up, go O, right? Then you're gonna have your filled in dot here, and then the exit stroke for the O is gonna then go right into the N. So it's kind of like a half overturn. N, we're gonna do that compound curve. The exit stroke here goes up into the entry as the entry stroke into the T. The exit stroke of the T is going up and you're going over, remember? Because I personally like having my R, because Montreal's Montreal. So I like my R's to have the filled in dot above my waistline. So you have to remember, so you're going to go up and over, come back down, press, exit stroke, which is the entry stroke for the E, which is then the entry stroke here for the A. Entry stroke then up here for the L. Just didn't go down far enough. And then we have our L here. And then I will go back in and I'll add the line and then I'll cross my T. I messed up a little because I was pointing and I marked it, but you see what I mean? You have to, it takes a little bit of extra to think about the next thing that's upcoming, but once you get the rhythm of it, let me do another one. Maybe like Amsterdam. That's like a long one. I don't know why that one popped into my head. You know why? Because I just watched that episode of Ted Lasso where they go to Amsterdam. That's why. I was just like, why is that in my brain? That's why. So we have the A. And then we have. So this is another one that's a bit interesting, right? Because we're kind of doing almost like a backwards compound curve, but this portion is the exit to the entry, right? And it's like we're still looking for the same space in between. Because a normal compound curve is like this, right? But this is kind of like that. So it's almost exactly the opposite. It's an interesting little shape that's happening right here. So we have our oval, then it's an underturn, exit stroke, entry stroke, right? So it's like an underturn and then an overturn have been smushed together, um, with the hairlines touching, like being the same one. So AM. Because I like my S's to have the dot above the line, we're making sure we're going up high enough. Okay, we have our S. Right? So you can see exit stroke up to the T, down, exit stroke, the E, up over the waistline because I like doing mine above, down, press, up, the D, A, M. pretty sure I spelled that properly. Yeah, I think I did that right. Um, let me know. Let me know if I misspelled that. I'm pretty sure I'm okay though. Um, but yeah, it even with longer words, you just have to take your time. I wasn't going super fast. So I'm thinking of the letter shapes. I'm thinking how to spell it. I'm trying to like, there's a lot of things that are going on at the same time. You're trying to make sure that like all your lines down here are all even. Everything touching the baseline out here was a little too wide because you can see it here, there. Like we're always aiming for this to be even, right? Like for all the spacing and stuff. So here's a little tight. So if I were to do this again, um, I would move this over a little down, down, down. Yeah. So again, it just takes practice. It takes a bit of thought going forward. I'm trying to think if there's like a weird word. This is kind of where actually this is why a lot of people practice the word minimum. It ticks a lot of boxes um, for how to practice, um, how to do it well, um, because you can. I'm gonna probably not, we'll see if I can do this well. But the word minimum, because it's a lot of this, it's the group one minuscule letters. It's all those ones. They're all there's no ascender or descender loops, um, and it can really tell your spacing with that word. And it forces you to really think of like what is the letter that's coming next. I have misspelled the word minimum so many times, so many, a ridiculous amount of times. I also just realized that I was not recording the first 26 minutes of this stream. So I'm just going to do a little. This is what we're doing for when I upload. Hi YouTube, because this is going up on YouTube later. Sorry about that, guys. Totally forgot to press record. You missed some warm ups, and then I was going through how to attach letters. I'm glad that I didn't start doing the majuscules already, because that would have been a real pain in the butt. Because I would not have wanted to re-record those again. Okay, sorry, that was a little bit of a technical silly pants. I knew eventually that was going to end up happening at some point in time, that I was going to forget to press record on my end. Um, I think I think on Twitch I can export the video because it does hold on to it for like a week. It's on this platform, so I probably could be able to export it. So we'll see. We'll see how fast I can do the YouTube upload if I can't export the video out of Twitch very quickly. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad I looked at that. My goodness. Sorry. So, welcome YouTube audience to a video that absolutely has not already been running for 27 minutes. What's going on? Okay, so I think we're good for that, and I will go into the basic strokes for majuscules now. If there's no questions for this guy. I forgot to connect those things. Basically, a little recap. Exit strokes are the entry strokes, and you have to think about what those strokes are going into the next letter that's coming up in your word. Let's get a fresh new paper. Perfect. Great. So there are majuscules are a little different than minuscules in so much, for me at least, of how I learned and how I think about it. There's only a few really repeating strokes. One of them is the stem stroke, or what is sometimes referred to as the line of universal beauty. Um, if you've ever heard that term before, if not, that's also okay. I'm going to show you what it is. So basically, let's see if I can do that. Because when I'm writing, you're mostly writing in minuscules anyways. I'm much more practiced in writing minuscules all over the place. Majuscules, you know, I won't lie. Sometimes I cheat them a bit by hiding some of my weaker points with flourishing. So I'm going to try really hard to be as consistent as possible when it comes to like the stem stroke or the line of universal beauty. So basically, it is a line, and I believe it is. It's. I know it's in the templates and exemplar portion of the handout that I made, the word little workbook. I'm going to shout out that thing. It's on my website. It's a free download. You just have to go to my shop and go get it. But basically, it is a line that is the stem stroke, the main stroke for a lot of majuscule letters. It's involved in a lot of them. And then the other three or four that I showed are kind of, they're almost like more superfluous than necessary. This is the necessary one. The other ones are more almost like the flourish to get into the shape. So basically, let me zoom in. Let me zoom in so you can see my dry hands. Um, as you can see on the sheet underneath here, there is the ascender line, the waistline, the baseline. And then you have your 55, which is here. So basically, what the stem stroke or the line of universal beauty is a line that is basically a downstroke that has a curve here and a curve here going into it. I like to have a gentle curve. What I mean by it when I say a gentle curve is like I like to come into it soft, then press hard here in the middle, release, and move back over again. This is hard doing it, watching it on the screen because I'm like I want to make sure that this is very clear. So I'm trying really hard because of where my overhead camera is, I have to like lean a little more over to make it centered here. Anyways, blah 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 blah. You don't care about my setup. I just want to make sure that you guys can see properly. But let's do that again. Okay. So basically, again, we're trying to make this downstroke here, which is the basis for a lot of the letters. We want to make sure that there's a curve coming into it and a curve leaving it. And we want to make this be a gradual transition to as the middle portion should be the fattest, and then we're transitioning out of it. This is easier said than done. Like I said, sometimes you'll see in my work, I will have a lot of flourishes going on in my majuscule letters, and that's sometimes because I'm trying to hide some of my weaknesses. That is why that happens. So we're gonna go hairline down, press, full press, start lifting, and then curve out. Yeah. Better, but not great. Sometimes it's. I look like I'm going to be bleeding now. It's not, it's just pancake, I promise. Um, you can kind of see where I'm coming at it from. Around, down, press, up. You know why? It's because I'm using this as my middle line. It's here. Here. Not super happy with those. Not super happy with those. Let's see if I can get a. Let's see if I can get a good one. I know the shape I'm going for. The hardest part, it's not necessarily even the shape, it's literally where you put the weight on it. That's going to be the hardest. There we go, that's better. It's because I was using this line, which is my. I logically know this isn't the middle, but my hand is still thinking this is the middle, which is so the weight of the line was lower down. But the middle is more here. So I have to remember that when I'm doing it, trying to show you. Let's see. Let's see if I can get a better one. sometimes it needs to be a little quicker for me. I get into the groove. That's better. It's kind of what I'm looking for here. Because you're not actually doing this, right? This is kind of what I'm trying to not do. Is I'm not trying to curve it. The curve comes from this and then this here, but this essentially should be straight. So it's a curve more or less straight. You're just adding the heavier weight here in the middle, this area here, and then you're releasing it, and then you're curving it out. That like it's more or less a straight line. The curve is coming from how you're manipulating your pen. So like I said, it's a tough one. It's a toughie. You're seeing me struggle through it right now, live. Don't we love live streaming? We really see everyone's foibles. What's going on here? Because I understand. The thing is always too. This is also why I don't necessarily teach a lot. Is because I understand the theory behind it, but I don't. I can't always execute it, which always makes me feel a little funny. But you know what? Anything for my internet friends. You know, try my best for you guys. So basically, the stem stroke, like I said, is the basis for a lot of letters. I will show you one here. Okay, this is going to be the letter A. Right. So here, I'm going to do a couple, just so you can see them. And then I'll go through how to make them. Right? We got our A, we got our B. So here's your stem stroke. Here's that stem stroke. I like to do my C's like this. I find them a lot easier. You can also do a C. I used to do them like this a lot. Just depends. This one I find faster to do, easier. The letter D, my nemesis. Always hard because it's in one shot. But I'll show you this as well. Also has that line of universal beauty in it. Let's see if I can do it in one shot. Let's see. Can I do it reasonably? Not terrible. I'm actually not mad at that. But as you can see, line of universal beauty, line of universal beauty, and that line of universal beauty pops up again. So this is why this is kind of an important one. It's in a lot of the letters. But that is why those ones are important. Cool. So another of the strokes I think that I showed in my handout was, sorry, having a little paper technical difficulty. There we go. That's what I wanted. Yes. Yes. Sorry, I have the printed handouts are on the left of me. I wanted to just as a reminder to myself which one I had put. So this is kind of like an overturn. And as you can see, it shows up right here. Right? So I'd like to practice it sometimes just to give the basic shape, the basic understanding. Basically here, you're kind of starting in the middle of ascender waistline, right? You're going to press down a little bit, you're going to come up, and then go right into like an extended compound curve. That's kind of the vibe of the one I showed you. You can also just do this, just do that. This shape pops up a lot in the letters. Like I said, like that's kind of what this guy is. It's just because this D went this way, which is why the shading is this way. You can, in theory, do the D the other way as well. Or you can do it, you do it in one, you do it in another one, you have the meat down here. We'll get there when we get there, but this basic shape here is pops up a lot. So we have this one. So again, it is, we're kind of starting in the middle here, pressing lightly a little bit, and then coming back around. You just do that. So if we're thinking technically, imagine this is an oval, okay? Just imagine this is an oval. The apex of that oval, in order to give it a center line here, we're trying to hit that 55. That's that 55 degree. That's what I'm aiming for, right? We're always looking for those ovals everywhere. So the apex here, right on that 55-degree line. All right. What was the next one? Ah, yes, the C curve, which is this guy. So a C curve is basically like a sideways oval, but between the ascender line and the waistline. It just kind of comes back up. You'll see sometimes it has a weight on it, like a little shading here. Not, so I'm going to give you some terminology. If there's some shading here, it should, for me, this is the main shade here. Is this one here is thicker? Because this would be a secondary shade, it shouldn't be as thick as this one. Because this is still where you're trying to make someone's eye go, is this part, because this is the letter. This is the flourish that's leading into the letter, if that makes sense. So if this, for example, was the same line thickness as this one, the eye's not going to know what to look at. Maybe someone will think this is the letter E, especially if there's like a weight here. This kind of starts looking like a giant letter E. It's one of the reasons why I started doing this one more, is because sometimes, depending on the word, or if the person that was reading it wasn't familiar with maybe handwriting at all, it could sometimes get a little bit illegible. So I started doing this one just so there wasn't anything hanging out on the side. But that's a personal thing on my end. But that was why that started happening. Anyways, regardless of that, this shape here, the C curve, is another oval, right? Just another oval, in which then the apex of this oval is going to be parallel to the ascender height and then the waistline, right? So it's a fully sideways. That's what I'm aiming for. You can kind of, my again, the thing that I will always repeat is, like, if you don't want to do it this way, listen, I'm not going to get mad at you. If you want to do it more like sorry, I'm so used to doing it this way. If you want to do it more like this, I don't love the way this looks. If this is something you like doing, I mean, more power to you. My suggestion would always be then to make sure that you are consistently doing it like this, all over the place, right? If you're not going to do it all the way this way, and you're going to do it like this way for whatever reason you feel like doing, cool, no problem. Make sure that you're doing it consistently everywhere, because if you start changing these types of strokes all over the place in whatever text you're doing, if it's like, especially if it's long form, it becomes very visually confusing. It becomes hard to read. So just whatever you decide to do, like, you're an adult, you do whatever you want. Just be consistent with it is all I would ask. And then yeah, we'll just do, and then it's just a compound curve is the next one. That's the last little entry stroke that we'll do. So that one, I don't remember how consistent I was, to be totally honest, in the exemplar that I gave. I don't have it right in front of me. I didn't print it out, but I may not have been consistent with it. But the goal is kind of like about half the height between the ascender and the waistline. That's, or maybe you'll even a little less, kind of like that. So you can kind of, what's up? Oh yeah, the V. You do. So that's that type of vibe. So you can do your, it's just a compound curve, like I said, it's just in a different place. Instead of being here, it's going to be a little smaller, and it's going to be up here. Basically, that's the only difference. It's just floating in the air for the moment. So, quick little recap. We have the stem stroke. It's not too bad. Not terrible, not terrible. Not the greatest, but not terrible. Let's try that one more time. Let's see if I can get it a little bit better. Could be worse. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so we have stem stroke, number one. Number two, it's kind of like an overturn, like this, or overturn into a extended compound curve. We have the C curve. And then we just have that compound curve again, just hanging out up there. Okay, so those are the basic ones for the majuscules. Sorry for hitting the mic. Those are the basic ones for those guys. And now I'm going to try and do, I have on my little notes that I should do A through H. So I'm going to try and do the majuscule letters A through H. We'll see if that is indeed possible, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my bestest for you guys. Okay, so I had done a little A up on the top, so I'm just going to show you here. So it starts with the first stroke here, which is your stem stroke, but we're going to extend it out just a little here, and then we're going to do a filled in dot. Cool. So stem stroke down a little over, right? If you ever look at my work, I go a little wild. I go and I pull it right back, and I make it into a C curve because, like, I like flourishes. I like the way that this looks, but that's also not everyone. That's just me. If you want to keep it reasonable, you would like to keep it conservative, this is kind of what we're looking at. Okay, just a stem stroke here, a little line of universal beauty. Number one. Number two, we're going to start from up here, and we're going to do a gradual thickness of the line just straight down on that 55 degree. Okay, so down, press, square off that bottom if we can. So it's not a all the way, okay? It's a gentle pressure, opening up the tine. We're trying to make this and this the same width. So whatever width this is, that's what this should be. Did we do this shape? This is kind of like the shape, if we remember, from the F. Remember when we did this? It's kind of a similar vibe, I find, because we're coming from here, though. We're going up, down, and then up again. So, like, this shape feels very similar to this guy. And I don't remember in the exemplar if I have it on the bottom or if I have it higher up. I think I actually might have it higher up in the exemplar. One second. Let me do the one that I think I have it actually written down. So we're gonna do stem stroke down, little dot, 55 degree there. I think I have it here. I think it's like this. There's a lot of different variations of the letter A. I will not lie to you. So forgive me if I don't always remember which one I showed you. There's just so many. Stem stroke here. So I did this a little too thick because I didn't do this. Let me see if I can thicken that up without messing up my shape too much. Not bad. Okay. So yes, we have our stem stroke. We have our other downstroke here. It looks like a triangle. If you're looking only at the outlines here, it is a triangle. Then at about midway between the in that X height, starting pulling over, going back, and then crossing right underneath where I had started it and pulling it back up again. It's kind of like the left portion of a bow Here again, it makes me feel like a little bit like this guy. We're in the same family, same kind of stroke. So, like I said, I had done two. I had done one where it's at the bottom, one where it's at the top. Because so this is the one that I normally do, okay? Because I am a rebel. That's how I like to do my A's. Like totally much simpler. This is more traditional. I hesitate to say modern. I don't know where I pulled this from. This may be I pulled this from my own brain. I don't know, but this is the one I tend to go for myself personally. All right, let's do the letter B. So the letter B, like you saw up there, where I just did my quick little test, my little show, it was stem stroke first. Okay, filled in dot. I accidentally bumped below the baseline. It should be on the baseline, not below it. So just verbally saying that. Then we're gonna do that like overturn shape here, right? When we were practicing above. Okay, up, over. We're pulling here. We're not going directly here. We're a little bit above it. So what do we have here? Stem stroke, overturn. This is okay. This is also a hard shape to do. Okay, so if you're struggling with this, I totally get it. It's hard. Stem stroke, end with the circle, the little filled in dot. Do that overturn. Okay. I did this a little too thick. This should be a little bit thinner because this shouldn't be the same thickness as these guys. It should be a little thinner. It should be more like a secondary shade. Okay. So that was my bad. This should be a little thinner. Doing an overturn, coming up, over, crossing here. It's hard to see, but I'm right below the ascender line. Where's my green marker? Right here. I'm below. Okay, because the line is here. I'm below it. Okay, that's the vibe. Then as I'm coming over, it's kind of like this shape, right? It's like a. What would this be? What would this look like? What does this look like? Maybe like almost the top of a question mark. Is it? I'm trying to give a bit of an example on that one. But here, I'm making a little one of these, and then coming back down, bumping it a little bit more than the top pressure, and then coming back in. The B is hard. Okay, so don't be upset if you can't do it. I still can barely do it. There's not a lot of B names in French. I find maybe, but to be totally honest, I don't write the letter B very often. I don't, like I said, I don't really write in majuscules very often because usually when you're writing minuscules all the time. So when I do write majuscules, I tend to cheat. Like I said, I put flourishes all over the place so you don't see my weakness. So you can do that too. If I can do it, you can too. But I'm going to try and show you the best I can as consistently as possible. But I guarantee nothing. I'm trying. Try my best. All right, we got our overturn coming up. Crossing just under. Doing a little loop, coming back, and over again. I sometimes like to pull and extend that guy, depending on how fancy I'm feeling. But yes, coming from up here, thin, thick, filled in dot, pressure for the overturn, up, over, down, a little loop, up out a little loop, coming back into itself. This, like I said, is a difficult shape. If you kind of only look at the right portion here, It kind of looks like a number 3 a little bit. Basically, like what I'm trying to do is I'm always trying to make sure that these um, shades here are within that 55 degree. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm always trying to do. All right, let's do the letter C. So the traditional letter C, it looks like this. And I think this might be weird. I don't know anyone else who does it this way, but I'll do this shape first, and then I'll go back over, and then I'll do the C curve. So if I don't do it like this, I can never get the angle right. So I do it in two. Um, but yeah, we're trying to do. We're trying to make the apex of this 55 degrees. That's kind of if we're gonna pretend that this shape here, if this was gonna continue into an oval, the apex of this here and this here is on the 55-degree line. That's what we're hoping for. This is what we're aiming for. So let's do that again. See, I'm coming around and I'm doing that C curve that is. So it's basically it's two shapes, right? We have or two ovals rather. We have this one here, and we have this one. Sorry, again, doing this while like watching me write on the computer screen is super fun. Kind of like disconcerting. I'm trying my best. Um, so this one we're looking, it's like an oval this way, plus an oval going like this way, right? So if you do it like this, that's kind of that. This is what it is. It's an oval plus another oval. Then you add the shade. Right, let's do the letter D. Another challenging letter, specifically because this is in one stroke, or supposed to be in one stroke. You can do it in two, and you can come at it from two different directions. I generally speaking only do it from this direction. So we're doing stem stroke up over, and then we're doing a loop here, which is flat to the baseline. We're coming a little over. We're trying to go as far as we did to the left to the right as we are to the right. We're kicking it back up again, parallel to the 55. We're coming over and then down and then back up again. It is a hard shape to do. Oi, oi. So you have your stem stroke here. You have an oval here. We're going around. This should be a little more bumped out. Should be more like that. Here, going up, going over, overturn, back up again. So you can also do it in two strokes, which if you're starting out, I mean, even for me, I should totally do it this way because it would be way easier for myself than trying to do it in one shot all the time, which is like this, and then we stop right here. Okay, we just do this one first, then we go this way, up, over, press a little, and then meet it at itself here. So we're having the shade in two separate, but we're having the shade in different areas. It looks like there's a shade here. There's not supposed to be. Let me do that quickly. Down, over this way versus this one. So if we're going to analyze this, we can always tell where we start if we know what we're looking for. because there's a shade here, a shade here, and a shade here. I know this was done in 2 spots. How do I know this? Because if I'm thinking about the pen and how it works, I'm going down. Oh, that means I'm pressing here. We're going down, we're going over. If I were to continue this, if I go up, I can't make that shade, right? That's not how the pen works. Which means to me, that means I must have started somewhere else. So, I see here shading up, and then yes, I must have pressed down to bring it back to itself over here. I should have bumped this over more. Should look more like that on the outside. Um, versus this one, which is in one shot, we're starting from here, same as this guy, but then because the shade's here, that means I must have done this in one shot. I did it like that. I have the propensity to enjoy this one more than this one because I like having the shade here and here. I find this brings my eye to the letter properly because if the shade is here, again, this should have been thicker on the side like that, and then this should be thinner. This kind of makes it look like this is the letter, not this. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what it looks like to me. So I prefer having the shading on this side. Or you can do the other cheat. This is the other D that I prefer doing because it's much easier to do. So I'm going to give you that one too as well. A little variation for you. You're welcome. I believe that's a Spencerian one. Okay, let me do that where you can see it a bit more. I think I pulled this from Spencerian, but I don't totally remember again. So we're going to go for the C curve. We're going to come up here to the ascender line. We're going to press down over like a little loop, up, down, over. And then we can write a word like dog. That's how I kind of like to cheat my D's. This one, I would actually say this is a little too far. Let me do another one. There's a little bit too much space there. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Yeah, it should be a little bit more that way. There you go. This one is a different variation. This one I might be on the variation sheet. Don't remember, but I like this one. So it's a C curve, up, weight right on. This is the 55. We're curling it up and over, up again 55, up and then down and then up again. I find this is the reason I like this one is because it's much easier for me to do this one consistently than this guy, which is always a crapshoot for my hand. It just sometimes just does my doesn't want to do it. I should sit down and practice this one a lot more. But the minute I found this one, I was like, I'll use this guy. I'll just use this one instead. Okay, so now we have the letter E, which is like a fun one for me because my name is Erin, i.e. it starts with the letter E. So, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I mean, there's many different ways you can do it. I was, for fun this weekend, I was doing some, just doing some practice because I've been, except for doing the teaching and stuff that I've been doing here on Twitch. I often make time for myself to practice anymore. But I liked teaching this stuff, so I wanted to do some words. So I was doing some flourishing and whatnot. And I thought that was fun. By flourishing, I mean like I was doing some big flourishing. Yeah, I know it's a bad word, but it's fun to do. It's sometimes fun to do bad words in lovely writing. It makes me laugh because I'm basically a 2-year-old. But yeah, so there's this one, and then I was working on some variation, a very fun and flourished variation of letter E. No, we will not be doing this right now, but I wanted to show you anyways. Just, you know, there's some different fun ways to do it. More or less flourishing. Oh yeah, I also was doing the letter B. If you want to see these guys, just trying to work on, you know, making this guy kind of consistent, which I thought was kind of fun too. You know, once you get the shape in your hand, it does come a little bit easier. You know, fiddling with things. It's just kind of fun. It's just sometimes fun to sit and play. But yeah, so just wanted to show you that since I had it on hand. All right, so the D. Now we go to the E. So the E, basically, if you saw, let me do one, it's easier for me to explain it after it's done. So basically, it's like a little oval up here, and then plus a big oval down here. There are many ways you can do to flourish this part. The thing that's the most important is this and this. However you do this part here matters much less, because you can do, you know, something like this, but, you know, that has like a big C curve coming into it. Sorry, I'm in a weird. I can't make my point very well if you can't see me what I'm doing. All right, let's try that again. You know, you can do a big C curve. You can just do something like this. Oh, actually, that one's not very good. Do something. There we go. That's the right angle. Ignore that one. Then you can do the one I just did before, which is here. Like, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. The thing that's the most important is this shade and this shade. So again, it's little oval, then a big oval. We're always making sure the apex of those guys are going to be at the 55-degree, but this just takes practice, right? So we have, let's do this one. There we go. So 55 degrees here, 55 degrees here, apex, apex, apex. We're all happy. This is all even. It's all a good angle for everything, which is nice. This is going to be probably your easiest one, or no. Yeah, I have to look at the computer screen while I'm doing it. It's a little bit, the paper's a little bit too far for me to see what I'm doing exactly properly, because I want to do this and like be over it, but I'll have to just hope that this is good enough. So yeah, I think this one might actually be the easiest, then this one, then probably this one, because this one requires like two changes in direction, which can be hard. Like, that's like not great. This one and this one are going to be the easiest to be consistent with. This, because of the change in direction, it's going to be a little bit harder because you're coming at it with it one here, and then one here. There's a lot of ovals. This one you're only having to deal with like two. All right, let's go for the letter F. Unless anyone has any questions, I mean, you know, the chat is there to be used if anyone needs anything. Want me to redo something for you? So the F, coming back to that line of universal beauty or the stem stroke, coming down, fill in dot. There's a couple of ways you can do the little hat on the F. You can do the overturn, which is what we did at the beginning. Right? You're starting from the left, coming over to the right, and then I cross it. You can do a crossbar like this, you can do a crossbar like this, you can just do a straight line, you can just do a wave like this. There's a lot of ways that you can do that. whatever your pretty heart desires, you can do whatever you want. And then we have stem stroke. show you a different, so you can do this same shape, but you can start it from the right to the left, depending on where you want your shading to be. So you can press here, come down, press, and then come back up again, right? So there's a slight difference, right? Because the shading is different if we're, depending on what direction we're coming in. If we're coming down, there's going to be some pressure here. It's going to be a little bit thicker. Going to come back up, hairline. Then we're going to do a fill-in dot. Here, we're kind of pressing and pulling, so it's not exactly a dot. It's more like a quotation almost. Crossing. This is the same, and then we're coming down and pressing. So here's the thick line here instead of here. And we're coming back up again. So the shading is almost in the opposite spot. And then, like I said, you can just do, one of these, or one of those, a straight line, a little curve, whatever you want. It's all good. Oh yes, for the hat that's here, it's a little hard to see because of the line, but I'm not going over the acenter line. I'm just kind of touching it, and then I'm dropping down a little, and I'm coming back up, and I'm touching it again. So it's kind of like if you were going to finish this, it would kind of do this. And if you were going to do the same thing on this side for where this curve is, it's the same thing. It's kind of like a little figure eight here. That's kind of the motion. It's kind of the shape that we're looking at. All right, so now we have our letter G. So the G I'm going to do, and then I'm going to talk to you about it. Okay, so this is hard because this is always going to be my thing with majuscules. This is hard, okay? This is hard, and this is why it's hard. So don't feel bad if it doesn't come right immediately. It's because we're having a C curve. Okay, this one I don't want to go all the way down. I don't really. I guess you should, yeah. Yeah, okay. So we have the C curve, okay, which is an oval this way. Then we're having another oval, right? We're having an oval this way. Then we have this is where the stem stroke is, it's down here, right? This is kind of what we're looking at, right? We're going oval to another oval, and then we have our stem. It's very messy. But those are the shapes that you're looking at. So because it's because you're changing direction so much. So we're going horizontally, vertically, then we have a stem stroke. It's a lot of changing direction. This is why this is challenging. So we want to make sure that we're doing that C curve. We're going up, and then down, and then up again, right? It's kind of like the letter C a little bit, except instead of doing this way, I kind of do this. I push it out a little, right? So we have our oval here, we have our oval here. If we're going to imagine that this line continues, this is all in one shot. This line should be at the 55, the apex up here and here should be at the 55. Then here we're kind of above the waistline, right? We're coming up and above. Then we're going to be right here. I'm going to pull down. Then all of a sudden we have our stem stroke. But instead of doing this, I mean you can, but I prefer pulling it back up again if I can, back up to the baseline here. Coming down and then, boop, little fill-in dot. Let me do that again. So here, up, down, and up again is one. I kind of lift and then I press and then bring it back up and over. I kind of do it quickly because I find if I wait too long, I'm going to lose the angle. I kind of do it in one motion so it's nice and smooth. I do like that. I sometimes will have this cross, sometimes it just touches. I try, if I notice that it's not crossing, I will usually go in and pull it to cross, or if it's not touching at all, that I will leave it like that. Something to look out for with these ones specifically. Oops, is that you're not doing it like this. This is way too much space. It does need to be, you know, in like tight. This is like not exactly a tight letter. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like this is like there's just too much space going on here for it to be legible. There shouldn't be too much. And I think I said A to H. Oh yeah, okay, cool. And we're right on time. It's been like a hour 15, so that's not too bad. Okay, so yeah, H will be the last letter today, and then I'll just do A through H on one line. Hopefully, I can get them all in one shot. But yeah, cool. All right, so the letter H, we're doing stem stroke over fill and dot. Then I come over here, right, right here, about in this aligned where the dot is, over, and then we're basically making a minuscule L. Sorry, that should have been touching. There we go. Basically making a minuscule L. And then I go in, and then I add that little compound curve, or a different shape, depending on how I'm feeling, depending on how the other shapes are, and what I'm writing is. So stem up over, fill in dot, coming over here, and then all of a sudden, it's like an L. You can do one of these if you're feeling fancy. Do like an L, and you know you can do one of these if you want. Well, it should be in the middle, but you can do one of those if you feel like you've put it too far away. So there's lots of different options, but basically it's like the it's a stem, light of universal beauty if you want, right above hairline cross, and then up, down, like a minuscule L. That is the vibe. I usually, it depends on how I'm feeling, how fancy I want to make this little stroke is. Little extra, little fun thing. You can go wild and crazy. To be totally honest, like I normally, how do I normally do mine? They're usually pretty exaggerated, to be totally honest. They tend to be at the beginning of like happy birthday or happy anniversary, which is why I tend to go a little wild. Let's do, or yeah, something. Oop. Like, this is sometimes where my brain goes. I'm just like, how many loops can I do in a row before it becomes legible? This is what happens. Um, but before you can do this stuff, you do need to know how to do this because this is like so many, so many things are happening here. It's just a lot. So this is important to know before you start doing wild, wild loops all over the place. Let me zoom out a little because sometimes I find I'm also like many people, I get very critical of my work when I'm zoomed in at like 8x, but no one is looking at your work that close. This is just me being a paranoid panda. Um, but yeah, let me do one line of A through H, and we're gonna try my best to see. Hopefully, I can do them all in one shot ski. I will zoom in a little closer than this, just so you can see the pen. But it won't go crazy. I won't go like crazy. I don't know, whatever. Right now we're at zoom 1.8. That feels like a reasonable zoom. All right, so the letter A, we're coming up. We're doing our stem stroke. Stroke right here. It's okay, not too shabby. Stem stroke. Cross below. Side. There you go. I just realized too there is another C curve. It's, I find it's an easier move to do it this way than this one. Be curious to know what you guys think. If you do it, which one you prefer. And then I have letter C. Do it in two strokes because I do prefer having the weight on both sides. Um, and we're making sure this is flat. Okay. Return up, crossing there, pressure, and then bringing it back to itself. And if you want, you can extend that if you so wish. And I have the other option for the D that like I said, I usually use this guy. It's just a little easier to do consistently for me. These two look like they're from the same alphabet. These two look like they're from the same alphabet. So it just depends. Depends on how I'm feeling. Okay, I'll do the E. I think this one's going to be the easiest. And this guy. And if you're feeling risky, you can try this guy. Okay, got the letter F. Too much of a swing. There you go. You have the little hat. You cross it there. We have the letter G. So C curve, changing direction, coming up again, and it's kind of that step stroke on the bottom. And then we're going to end on the H. So we have a step stroke, filled in dot, and then like the minuscule L, and you can just add whatever. You can add that too if you want. There we go. How was that? Hopefully okay. Just that over. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully we're good. Our hands are little crampy. I should have stretched them before I started working. Cool. So I'm going to, don't forget to clean your nibs. Don't leave them in your holder, please and thank you. We don't want to ruin them. And yeah. Yeah, the majuscules are, they're a challenge. They're a challenge. But like I said, the benefit of working mostly minuscules is that you don't have to deal with them too often. So, you could just pull a me and just cover them with flourishes. It'd be great. But cool. Thanks for joining, and I appreciate you being here. And yeah, if there's anything, let me know. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to be going through. I did see that you had submitted your homework. I checked earlier today. I'm going to be probably doing it tomorrow. I'll give you some feedback on your last page that you submitted to me. So yeah, if there's anything, you know where to find me. Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. You're improving very quickly, so we love that. Well, I mean, improving very quickly. Like your work is, you're doing very well. So it's great. Um, but yeah, I'll end the stream, and then I'm gonna see how much of this I am able to put onto YouTube right away. If not, it'll be a little later than I normally would. It'll be probably tomorrow, depending on if I can pull it off of Twitch or not. Cool. So I hope to see you. When is my next stream? My next stream is the 22nd of February. It's going to be lesson 8 out of 11. So that is going to be Thursday. So I will be back on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I will hopefully see you there. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and enjoy, practicing and stuff.